cold air pierces my skin. My body temperature starts to plummet. The cold is so intense that it's difficult just to survive. My brain creaks as if it's being squeezed by my skull. My heart, already fit to burst, is ripped clean in two when I imagined what's going to happen in the next 2 minutes. Corpses swarm towards Arcade, a midsummer parade set in the heart of winter, like ants gathering sugar under the blazing sun. They're going to kill Arcade. Those corpses are here to tear her limb from limb, just as you did, and offer up her dismembered body. All while I watch from a safe distance, just like that. Just like that? Are you gonna pull up or not? That thing is just a disaster in human form. Chasing after him was a mistake. It was beyond arrogant of me to think that I could defeat him. Stopping him from killing anyone else? Resolving the situation without any more casualties? How the hell did I think I could do that? I should have just looked the other way. I shouldn't have confronted that monster. As with a typhoon, there's no option but to let it pass. If I had done that, then the city may have only ended up being burned to the ground. She, who could do nothing. Me, who chose to do nothing. She, who wasn't even armed. Me, who carried a weapon. Common sense and irrationality rife within my pressurized brain. My consciousness looks to my rear, telling me to run, and why shouldn't I listen? There's nothing I can do. What could I ever hope to do against an opponent like that? Arcade. From here on, I'm totally out of my depth. Arcade. I should just run away. Just look away. Any decent human would. Arcade will be killed. I turn to the sky. Everywhere I look, I see frozen buildings. All those people wiped out in an instant. I doubt they even had time to scream. I think back on what happened at the hotel last night, on the screams of the people there who were also killed for no reason. I see her fallen figure. The corpses drool sloppily as they draw near the woman, flesh. The river of the ice continues to expand. Throughout, the vampire continues to observe the death of the city with indifference. My skull cracks. Despite the freezing conditions, my heart pumps blood ferociously. What that means, in other words. Is that all of the fear running down my spine has transformed into anger. I'm defective, a laughingstock, far too immature as a human. After all, not a single atom in my body can tolerate just standing back and watching. There he goes. I take off my glasses. I cover my mouth with my left hand, desperately trying to suppress my shivering and prevent any more warmth from escaping. 3 minutes. I firmly etched this time constraint into my mind. I'm not worried about losing my nerve. 3 minutes is simply the longest a human can survive down that pit. I berate myself as I descend the slope. This is ridiculous. I'm being foolish. I really am an idiot. Running away because you don't want to die. That's backwards. If you want to survive, you need to do the opposite. That thing cannot be tolerated. It cannot be allowed to go unchecked. Running away will undoubtedly lead to death, not only for myself, but for this entire city, in which case, it's obvious what I must do. If you don't want to die, then kill. Run for the sake of survival. Kill it right here, right now, without waiting even a second. I've pretty much run out of patience at this point. It has no qualms killing and stealing to survive. As a different person, I cannot allow him to reside in the same plane of existence. Whatever it may be, if it's alive, then it's my prey. I'll put an end to his existence right here, roots and all. I run toward Arcade. The corpses are trying to sink their teeth into her body. The question I had earlier of whether I could kill them or not crosses my mind. Can I kill something that looks like a person, regardless of whether or not it's really human? Who even cares? All I know right now is that my head hurts. This is the first time I've looked with bare eyes for so long. The first time I've acted so objectively. As I look down on the lines of death in a frenzy, I memorize the images of the corpses I must kill. Don't touch her. You're an eyesore. The dead should not eat the living. Besides, the only creature that's allowed to prey on her is me. I cut the lines of the 3 corpses. My knife slides through them like a hot knife through butter. They each slip into thirds and die. Too easy. Their attention was focused on Arcade, after all. Shows what you get for being careless. I don't need to make it all the way to Arcade. I call out to her as I kill the 4th corpse. Arcade weakly opens her eyes. Looks like my shouting managed to wake her up. As Arcade begins to sit up, her face contorts as she doubles over. She's regained consciousness. She's still alive, but her wounds have yet to heal. She can't move from that spot yet. She's the one who should be running away, not me, but unfortunately, I cannot allow her that luxury. I leave Arcade behind and run. I adjust my grip on the knife and estimate the distance between me and Vlav. It's about 40 meters, 6 seconds until contact. He still hasn't seen me yet. 3 seconds. No time to play it safe. I'll finish him off with one blow. Being down here is already starting to take a toll on my body. I had 3 minutes in total before my body and consciousness shut down due to the low temperature. One of those minutes have already elapsed. That leaves plenty of time. I can already see them. The lines of death that will kill this monster. The man finally reacts. Turning to face me, he moves to intercept me with the air of someone brushing off an insect. The giant lance he skewered Arcade with is nowhere to be seen. Of course it isn't. I'd still be in trouble if he still had it. In Vlav's eyes, I'm no different from the corpses. He treats me as an incompetent thing that only protects Arcade. A worthless existence, just like all other frail creatures he's crushed underfoot before. That's why I have a chance. The only thing I can do is take him by surprise. He's already seen me. I can't attack him from behind. And yet, I can still take him by surprise. He doesn't know about my eyes. He hasn't even considered that a mere human might have the means to kill an immortal vampire with a single blow. Do you do it though? 2 seconds left. I have to risk crossing the boundary between life and death, but I only have to do it once. I have to focus all my attention on dodging his first move. If I can just make it through that gamble, then all I have to do is cut that line. At the very last second, right at the moment we were about to cross swords, we both jumped backwards simultaneously. We never even came within striking distance of each other. There are 2 reasons. For one, I made a mistake. I can't get close to his chest. He is in the focal point around which this billowing cold is swirling. The closer I get, the more sluggish my body becomes. Even at running speed, the moment I'm within 2 meters of him, I'd lose consciousness, unable to take another step. Getting in range is absolutely critical for a surprise attack, but doing so simply isn't possible against Vlav. But that's okay. As a matter of fact, I had already taken that possibility into consideration. However, there's another problem. This one is far more deadly. This motherfucker. The headache caused by my exposed eyes blends with my own rage. I don't even believe this. Of all the things that could happen, that bastard managed to see me through. It must have been his intuition. An awareness of death that surpasses that of a beast. Despite having no reason to think so, that guy suddenly realized that the enemy had a means to kill him, and was afraid. Having recognized me as a threat, he leapt away without even a second's hesitation. I only managed to jump back about 2 meters, but his retreat was extraordinary. He flew back over 30 meters. I guess that must be the minimum safe distance for a vampire. I can't help but laugh at the staggering difference in specs between the two of us. That should be my line. This is the worst possible situation. I'm not going to be able to get in close again. I've been forced to accept that I can't defeat him, and he sensed that I have a way of killing him. It's clear how things will go from here. It'll be a one-sided slaughter from afar. A block of ice flashed through the air. The ice forms a spear, a missile fired to blow my brains out. Should I avoid it, or should I take it head on? Do I continue to hide my hand, or do I cast away my only weapon? I make my decision subconsciously. A headache clamps its jaws around my brain, blocking out everything else around me. I focus my gaze on that deadly weapon. If those lines represent the death of existence, then I'll kill the form, the inertia, and the sub-zero bonds that hold that spear together right before it reaches me. Death grazes my temple. I swing my knife to meet each soaring icicle. Man is but a wild beast. We have possessed the power to track objects in flight since time immemorial. So long as my body remains able to move freely, a weapon like this poses no more threat than a giant pebble. However, with this, I have destroyed all hope of a frontal surprise attack. The man's eyes speak to me. They tell me that he saw it, that he doesn't care about the logic or reason behind it. There's no way in hell he's gonna let me get close to him again. With that, I've lost my path to victory. Was this really the right time to reveal the ace up my sleeve? Of course it wasn't, but my back was up against the wall. I had no choice but to show my hand if I wanted to survive. And now that I have, I need to hunt as hard as I can for any advantage it might brought me. I cut it down with as little as wasted movement as possible. Even if I don't have a way to get close to him, I still need to conserve my energy whenever possible. 2 minutes left until I reach my limit. The excitement drives away my fear. My view of life and death is reversed by my desperate struggle to survive. There's a small gap in the icy barrage. The man concentrates the billowing cold flooding out of himself on a single point, creating a vortex of even more frigid temperatures. Chunks of ice shoot toward me as though sliding down a zipline, cutting through the frozen atmosphere. I slice through the assassin's bullets. As long as I'm standing in front of Arcade, I have no choice but to stop the objects that are being fired in our direction. At this range, it takes 1.5 seconds for the ice spears to reach me. I can keep this up for as long as my body can keep moving. In the meantime, I'll think of what I can do. Vlav hasn't taken a single step. Why isn't he moving? If he's deemed me a threat, there's no reason not to go all out, but he isn't, which means there must be a reason why. I'd wager it's not because his projectiles mean he doesn't need to move, but rather that he can't move given the state he's in. Arcade had him on the back foot, and he's burned through all the blood that fuels him. This cool air must be the final self-defense mechanism of a monster on the verge of death. This is all complete speculation, but my logic feels sound. Now that he's unable to move, he's protecting himself by deploying this curse in all directions. It doesn't matter whether that curse is hot or cold. Either way, any living thing that gets close to him will die. If you got within 10 meters of him, you'd freeze to death in just 2 seconds. At this rate, I'll eventually fall as well. It's just like how humans stranded in the snow-scaped mountains eventually just come to sleep. When a human's body temperature is below 34 degrees Celsius or above 43 degrees Celsius, their brain cells shut down and they lose consciousness. Instead of focusing on Vlav, I survey the battlefield as a whole. My body wields the knife subconsciously, reacting as soon as something enters my field of view without disrupting my thoughts. As I reflect, I revise the conjecture that I had made earlier. The billowing cold spreads around him in all directions, but it's in intensity really as uniform as I previously thought. The fact that its cold is close to the floor means that its temperature isn't consistent. Whether it's strong or weak as a whole is still up for debate, but at the very least that suggests that it does have imperfections. He may be protected from every direction, but that doesn't make him invulnerable from all of them. Oh, he picked up the big-ass lance again. He draws the long lance he used to strike down Archwade out of the shadows once more. Perhaps he was just warming up before, because behind him, a great tree of ice sprouts branches. Whoa. Yeah, this is his last arc in multiple type Lumina. That's awesome. I put my thoughts on hold and dedicate all of my attention to intercepting his attack. This is impossible. I can't stop them all. Yeah, you're in Toho now. At least one of them is bound to hit me. No, I can't give in to that kind of thinking. I can't let even one of those things graze me. If I start bleeding, it's game over. The freezing air won't wait so much as a minute to take my life. So I have to kill. I have to fight back. I clear my mind and tune out everything in my vision other than the lines. Total number of prey deployed, 26. I continue to stare at their formation as I decide which to take out first and which to avoid. In the gap between the projectiles, I catch a glimpse of it. The locus of death that transcends the lines. That point must be the faculty of death that gives birth to the lines. The wall of death is bearing down on me. But I saw it. I'm certain that's the same point I saw before. There's a chance that I die here, but there's a chance that bastard dies here too. You're just gonna run past all of them? Oh shit. However, I've already come to the conclusion. There's no longer any way for me to survive this battle. Ice spears have cut into the flesh of my right flank and left thigh. I'm rapidly losing body heat through my extremities. My ligaments are screaming from all my sudden stops and starts. The cells on my legs are being destroyed by the ultra low temperatures. My fingertips have grown numb. I'm beginning to lose function in my limbs. The situation is hopeless. A losing battle that can't be turned around. Whatever happens, I will die before the minute is up. Neither Vlav, nor Archwade, nor whoever else happens to watch this mess unfold will doubt my inevitable death. Above all, I myself have no hope for my own survival. And yet, an animalistic urge sprouts from deep within me. That smile! You see that smile reflecting from the ice shard? That is crazy. Why am I smiling at a time like this? One of the ice spears strikes Archwade square in the face. Damn, I lost track of where exactly she was behind me. The spear didn't manage to pierce her, but Archwade is rubbing her face with one hand. How on earth is she unhurt after taking a direct hit to the face? I knew she was a ludicrous creature, but I can't help but be shocked by it all the same. Arcwade plunges her bare hand into the ground and lifts a chunk of the earth, as though scooping it up with a shovel. Then she hurls the whole chunk of bedrock at Vlav, almost like she's complaining about how much it hurt. What the fuck? The bedrock Arcwade throws at him is shattered by his huge lance. What the hell? Isn't, like, bedrock the strongest rock there is? Like, holy shit, and Arcwade just lifts it up and then he just breaks it with the lance? Damn. Vlav is unharmed. It figures there's no way you could kill him with such a simple attack. However, with Arcwade's counterattack, the final piece is in position. I have already come to a conclusion. There's only one way we can kill him. If I can get close enough before the billowing cold stops my body, I can kill him with absolute certainty. But how am I supposed to do that? My legs are too slow to be able to close that distance in 2 seconds. I need the help of something faster. If I want to give myself the best possible odds, I need to come at him from where his ultra-cold sphere is weakest. I can't say I like the alternative, but I can't do this on foot. I will die for sure if I do nothing. I have no choice. It's not a matter of if I can kill him. It's a matter of how I can kill him. It's time to commit. There's only one way I can get this close, and it's... Oh god, why do we have to make a decision? Why? Oh god, save. Sliding, I guess? It has to be sliding. Or rather, something more akin to falling. But will it work? Whether I make it or not would be up to chance. It's not safe by any stretch of the imagination. Even if everything goes well, the impact of the landing will tear my muscles apart and break my bones. Will I really be able to endure that pain? Let's find out. His projectiles fly at me as if trying to exploit my indecisiveness, but I stopped them in the nick of time. That was close, but appreciated nonetheless. It's helped me make up my mind. I'll just have to endure it. Besides, I've always been rather numb to the pain of death. I should concentrate on nothing but the question of how to kill him, much he has done with me. I turn around and run back towards Arcwade. My stamina is completely drained from all the excessive movement. I couldn't take so much as another step. The enemy I must reach looms 50 meters in the distance, but that doesn't matter. After all, the horizontal distance has no bearing on his plan. I tell Arcwade what I intend to do. The explanation only takes a few words. After a brief moment of bewilderment, she looks at me in the eyes and then reluctantly agrees to my proposal. It doesn't matter, I nod. I can't spare enough strength to speak. Also, hold on. Has she been looking for an opportunity like this the entire time? I end up having to yell to get my point across, so much for trying to catch my breath. And then... There's no more time to explain. A barrage of ice spears is bearing down on us. Vlad plans to mercilessly skewer me alongside Arcwade. There's no time for pretense. I take my gaze off Arcwade and stare at the enemy in the distance. It seems like the woman behind me got the message. I stoop down in front of Arcwade. My hands and knees settle on the ground. An invisible arm runs through the soil. Arcwade starts to scoop out another boulder. No, She's digging far deep this time. She scoops up the very ground, rubble and all, changing the terrain in the process. The earth itself erupts. You'd be forgiven for thinking a bomb had gone off. It is a feat of strength that renders all before it to dust. If Vlav's cold air is like a blizzard, then what Arkoe did is like Earth's tsunami. Vlav's paltry spears of soaring ice may as well be droplets of rain before this wall of earth and sand. The mass, 50 meters tall and weighing 7,000 tons, bears down on Vlav as if to swallow him whole. And yet, even in the face of this earth-shattering cataclysm, the knight does not budge. Uh-oh. The deluge of soil is driven back by a single thrust of his steel lance. With the debris scattered by his strike, he must be able to see what's happened. Both that and Arkoe had fallen to her knees after using the last of her strength to append the bedrock, and that the threat, who he'd assumed was approaching him using the soil as a smokescreen, is now nowhere to be found. As he stood face to face with the towering wave, the man manages to regain his lapsed sense of reason. Actually, he had regained it 2 minutes before that. Though afflicted by a constant and billowing cold, ever since the moment he backed off from the human who had been closing in on him, his crazed mind had already been at work trying to function normally. Oh god, those eyes. That human has a way to kill me. I don't know how, but I'm certain of it. Within him are vestiges of the time when he was normal. His battle experience as a knight, forged in the dark ages, has pushed aside the curse that bound him hand and foot. The pride and dignity of those who mere 20 years triumph over the madness that transcends thousands. He is well aware of what a miracle that is. This is fleeting, nothing more than a delusion, destined to fade once the human is dead, something ordinarily impossible, a dream from beyond death. To relish in battle is a human joy, one which will freeze up in a few seconds from now. With that being so, how could he possibly not feel exhilarated at this turn of events? The enemy's aim is clear. They will approach using the wall of debris as a shield. They fight by cutting. Even this wall is like a door to them. They will surely slice it apart, and then come within distance of him. He readies his lance. He knows that, by all rights, he ought to crush this wave along with the enemy concealed behind it. There is no need to respond to the enemy's tactics. His strategy is to crush it all. There is still power left in him. He has 10 people's worth of the finest blood in stock. However, blood is his warmth, meant only for burning, and yet these he will preserve in perpetuity. And not because he was looking down on the human. He has already grasped that they are an exception which evades description. He can sense that if he allows them to draw near, it will spell his end. But even so, there are some things on which he cannot compromise. He throws half of his remaining strength into the lance, even as he knows that amount will prove insufficient. Upon collision, the huge wave of debris scatters. It won't be enough. He only pierced what was directly in front of him. This blow served merely to ensure his own safety. How could an attack like that possibly hit this enemy? They will come, no matter the cost. As sad as it is, humanity has its limits. It's impossible for a regular human to pass through that shower of debris, and thus impossible for them to properly utilize the support that the Princess of the True Ancestors provided them with. It will all be over when the downpour comes to an end. As long as he can keep track of them, he will never allow such a surprise attack again. The man's eyes widen as the vast expanse in front of him comes into view. Gone. Not a trace to be found. Not even their fleeing shadow. Perhaps they've died under the assault of his lance? No, impossible. He scolds himself for having such a foolish thought. This enemy would never perish so easily. In fact, the icy hand of death has only tightened its grip on his spine. For a mere second, the man's thoughts had drifted away from the enemy. They're obviously still coming for him, so if he cannot locate the enemy, something about his initial assumption must have been off. He predicted that the wall of debris would be used as a shield. However, if that wasn't a shield, then it must have been... The man looks up to the sky, to the enemy's figure outlined by moonlight. There he is, and there, lit ghastly blue, are the mystic eyes of death perception. This fucking knife is in his mouth. The debris that engulfed Vlav wasn't the only thing that Arcuate had sent flying. This bedrock had been our true objective. She had tied me down and blasted me out of this field of view to a place unaffected by his cryogenic influence above him. On the ground, 30 meters below, the tsunami of earth and sand has been crushed. That is the final moment of respite for me and for him. I reaffirm my choices, along with their consequences. If this succeeds, I will lose both of my legs. Even if I survive, I'll never walk again. I imagine that sort of future in great detail. But I don't mind. In exchange for these 2 seconds, that's a price I'll happily pay. It takes him a mere second to locate me. His perceptiveness is admirable, but with that second, it's already too late. No shit. The soaring bedrock comes together like a jigsaw puzzle, a makeshift runaway lashed together by ivy. Aside from the difference in altitude, both of us now exist at the same coordinates in space. I estimate the average chance of survival. And before I begin, I ascertain the point I have to reach. The route is set, a one-way road spanning 30 meters in a mere 2 seconds. Showtime? Oh, hell yeah. The gliding descent begins, a short slide toward death itself. I've completely given up on reacting to him at this point. At the speed of my brain is operating at, I'm only capable of making 1 decision per second. With only 2 seconds before I fall, I focus all my abilities on just 2 junctures. The decision I've made will bring me face to face with death at every turn, but even amongst those brushes with death, there will be moments that push more perilously close than others. Causes where I'll perish no matter what. I've identified 2 such critical junctures. Excluding those, the survival rate is probably around 10%. I can work with those odds. I'll ignore the favorable cases for now. The problem is those cases with a 0% chance of survival. Cases where my meager human capabilities spell certain doom. I'll pour every last ounce of strength I have into these, and drag that 0% chance up to 1. I'll steel myself in order to overcome these 2 fatal scenarios. There is nothing left in my consciousness to allocate to any other eventualities. Now that I have initiated the descent, I no longer have the mental capacity to react to his actions. What if there are more than 2 of these critical junctures? I won't consider it. I don't have an enemy to overcome 3 of them. If that's how it plays out, victory is his. That would just mean his powers are stronger than I imagined. A dense flurry of ice spears bombarded the falling prey, not unlike the jaws of beasts, terrifying but inconsequential. You really think you'll be able to devour me like that? Driven by nothing but instinct? No, that isn't the counterattack I feared was coming. The one I feared would end my life. I'm 10 meters away. The first critical juncture has arrived. I feel the muscles in my limbs adjust. My torso does a handbrake turn and whips around the slide. After witnessing his angle of fire, I alter the natural course of my trajectory. The mass of steel surges past mere millimeters to my side. I've overcome the 0% odds. 1 second remains. Victory is mine. He's already out of options. I'll avoid the impact of this fall, and before my body crumbles, I'll kill him. I've decided that moment is the second critical juncture. I don't care what happens after that. I'll just focus my undivided attention on cutting his lines. Which is why, if he makes one more move than I predicted, I won't think about it. I won't even dodge. Even if I could adjust my trajectory halfway through, I won't bother with something so pointless. That's why I gave up on thinking. If I die here, then I was dead from the moment I started this descent. It doesn't bother me. If he skewered my brain here, I'll most likely wouldn't even notice. The second critical juncture. The extreme -100 degrees Celsius conditions bring my entire body to a halt. Both my instincts to prepare for landing and the rational thought of to value my own life have been left behind in the night sky. I transfer the kinetic energy from my thighs to my waist, from my waist to my back muscles, and finally let my back muscles carry it all the way to the knife in my right hand. I couldn't stop my muscles now if I tried. I'm a killing machine that works on raw sensory input alone. My mind is fully focused on perceiving his lines and nothing else. The big moment. At his periphery, I see a light. The whirling wind of atoms, the predetermined lifespan of matter, the pit-like point of death. Having abandoned all thought, I understand it by instinct. If lines represent the death of life, then that point represents the death of existence. Stabbing that point is enough to kill anything, no matter how immortal, no matter how monstrous. It is the most dreadful thing in the world, nothing less than the end of the universe. But I couldn't care less about that discovery. My whole body shakes with a feeling far stronger than that. Vlav is holding a machete in his hand. Even after unleashing a colossal lance, the vampire was fully convinced that I was still coming, and chose to keep one final counterattack up its sleeve. At this late stage, against an anonymous opponent like me, this guy is the real deal. I don't know how he stacks up as a vampire. I don't care to know, but simply as a murderer, he is extraordinary. I can't help but hate the way things are. If he was in his right mind, and if he wasn't a vampire, he would have surely been a knight to be envied. Even if he's a mere shadow of his former self right now. His weapon has forever missed its chance at reaching me. And so I turn, dodge, and twist. Until my eyes reach his inner depths. Got his ass. Got his ass. Fuck out of here, bitch. In an instant, the atmosphere reverts back to its original temperature. The billowing cold, far removed from any natural phenomenon, disappears along with the man's life. And as it does, the vampire calmly muses to himself.
言語化できない大気の肌触りはいつか失った何者かだ。
I don't know what he's saying, or what language he's speaking in, but his gentle voice calls to mind a poet celebrating the joys of spring.
痛みも寒波も感じない。恐ろしいが懐かしい。これではまるで僕は死人になったようだ。
And there he goes.
疲れた。
I rolled over onto my back. My heart and lungs cry out in relief. My breathing, which had been stopped for so long, finally resumes. My hands can no longer move. I'm not even sure if I'm still holding the knife. The only thing I can be sure of are the pain all over my body, and the fact that as soon as the tension was released, my consciousness began to sink into the darkness. I really am fortunate. My sense of pain has already been numbed as a result. The pain in my left foot, which I broke mid-air, would have been unbearable otherwise. It's as if every bone in my body is being hacked off. I can't even feel the pain that had me seeing stars before. I don't even mean to let the swear slip, but I can't help it. I don't feel anything at having survived, and I'm not left with any pride after having accomplished such a feat. I can't even call it a miracle. Now that the dust has been settled, all that I can do is slap my feelings together. A crescent moon hangs in the night sky. It's strange. It feels terribly familiar. I could swear I've seen something similar in a dream at least once.
大丈夫、shiki?
Arcade wanders up to me as if nothing had happened.
まあ生きてはいる。
To be honest, it feels like I'm dying. It even hurts just to speak. But as someone who managed to make it out alive, it'd be unforgivable to whine about it.
もうそんな謙遜しちゃって。新参とはいえ、shikiはその一人を殺したのよ。もっと胸を張ってもいいのに。
Arcade's chest is puffed out with something like vicarious pride. Speaking practically, there must have been some value in having killed Vlav. I even know that much. But even so, there was nothing I could do. How far did that glacier encroach on the city? At the very least, the carnage was even worse than at the hotel, and yet, again, I turn a blind eye.
死んでないよ。ブローブの呪いなら全部私が防いでおいたんだし。
Or so I thought.
どういうことだそれって。
As soon as I try and sit up, I feel a sharp pain in my left leg that sends me sprawling.
ほらほら、ちゃんと横になってないと。
Now you're the one that needs first aid.
それより今の説明してくれ。死んでないって本当に。
ええ、ブローブの原理が暴走した時、できる範囲を対流膜でコーティングしておいたの。shikiがブローブを殺すのがあとちょっと遅かったらフォローできなかっただろうけど。
Arcade readily confesses her outrageous offense. Actually, wait, that reminds me. Back then, she made a strange sudden stop right before she was hit by Vlav's lance. Was that not to protect herself, but rather to protect the city? Yeah, it all fits. If you could think about it, it's strange that I'm still alive even after that billowing cold had enveloped everything. Just as I was able to breathe in those super cold temperatures, the people of the city must have also been safe. That's why she took that hit. While I was only thinking of myself, she protected the entire city, despite knowing that it would put her at disadvantage.
なんでそんなことを。お前 人間なんかどうでもいいって言ってたじゃないか。
Without even knowing why I'm angry, I yell at the carefree figure standing over me. Arcade curiously raises and lowers her eyebrows, and then...
だってシキがそうしてほしいって言ったんだもん。
She said something incredibly stupid. Did I say that? When? Where? Maybe it was...
なんかお前は別だならいい。吸血鬼だろうとなんだろうと俺たちに手を出さないでいてくれるならそれでいいんだ。
I can't believe her. As long as you don't lay a hand on any of us, it's okay. She did it because of that? Even when she could have been destroyed with one wrong move? I laugh at the absurdity of it. I'm even more stunned than I was before. I'm stunned, but at the same time, I'm more grateful than I've ever been. I close my eyes. With this, I think I can go to sleep now. My chest, which until just now had been filled with nothing but regret, is now swathed in relief. My consciousness fades away. I forget the pain in my legs and fall into a deep sleep. And then... Arcade bonking me on the head forces me back to reality.
何のつもりだ。
ダメ。そんな傷で眠っちゃったら起きてからやるらしいでしょ。
It's the advice she gave him, or it's the advice he gave her.
その方が効率的よ。
I'll be damned if that's not a sound argument. I wonder who told her that.
アルクエイド、本気で忠告していいか。
何？
あのな、あんまり無茶言うな、このバカ女。
I'm at my limit. With that, I've really used up all my energy. Wow. My consciousness fades. Arcoid is making a fuss about something, but I don't have the strength to open my eyes anymore.
ちょっとシキ、本当に眠っちゃうの？
Are you gonna carry me back to the mansion or something? I already told you I was sleepy. I'm falling asleep, not dying. I'll be sure to wake up when morning comes.
本当に本当？それきっと痛いよ。治さなくていいの？起きたら間違いなく失神するよ。
Oh, shut up. I'm going to sleep. If you want to do something, then just do it.
そういうことなら早く言ってくれればよかったのに。
After hearing her cheerful voice, I feel cold fingertips, colder than my frozen body, tenderly brush against my skin. At the pleasant sensation, an expression of joy overtakes my grouchy countenance.
戦利品？っていうか、その死骸？まあいっか。ちょうどどこに捨てようか困ってたものがあったんだ。
I feel something slimy.
何今の感触。なんか塗ったのか今。うわ、いたた。つうか
Oh, is it
戻ってきてる。
the gauze?
めっちゃ痛い。いや、かゆい。つうか怖い。お前一体。
Right as I'm about to ask what she's doing, I'm struck by a tremendous feeling of despondency. Did shouting just now use up the last of my body heat? This time, my consciousness doesn't put up a fight as it sinks into the abyss of sleep.
大丈夫。悪いものじゃないわ。そげた肉の分だけならこれで塞がるわ。でも、骨ばっかりはちょっと無理かな。後でちゃんと人間の医者にかかりなさい。
The cold fingertips withdraw.
眠っちゃった？シキ。
Yeah, I really am asleep. It's been a long time since I was last able to sleep deeply, to sleep without fear.
しょうがないな。シキの家って坂の上の屋敷でしょ？なんとか送り届けてあげる。
Sound asleep, I just gaze at the white moon.
お疲れ様シキ。それとありがとう。今夜はあなたのおかげで助かっちゃった。
I can't feel any weight behind her words at all. I can't hear her voice anymore. With no more interruptions, I finally fall into a deep, deep sleep. Wow. A few hours have passed since the massive fire in front of the station. When it first broke out, firefighters on the scene reported it would take 2 days to extinguish due to the intensity of the blaze, but it slowed down before midnight and was extinguished soon after. It went out all by itself, like it was a living thing, said a policeman at the station.
国道305までの交通規制は
Who is this?
5時までに解除。高速道路は先ほど規制を解除したとのことです。こちらも現場に残っていた使途の痕跡処理を完了しました。警視庁に向かわれますか、マリオ様。
Mario?
来たかねえが仕方ねえ。この規模の騒ぎはうちでもそうはねえからな。
So that's Mario Gallo-Bustino for
ジ
sure.
ジイの名前だけじゃ収まりはつかねえ。
He's like a big head in the church, I'm
俺
pretty
も
sure.
出向いて誠意ってもんを見せないとな。
では私も同行いたします。現場の指揮は例の代行者に委任しますか。
ああ、なぜか潜入捜査してたあいつらか。ツーマンセルなんだよな。下っ端の方は俺のホテルに呼びつけて待機させとけ。使い道があれば使う。あっちの方はできるだけ早く本国に帰らせろ。セオナトールをつっつけばすぐに動く。
かしこまりました。ノイ司祭にラウレンティス様の名義で抗議文をお送りします。
ああ、ここでの仕事は大体終わった。現場の後処理は誰にやらせてもいいんだが。おい、アンド！
お呼びですか、坊ちゃん。
Ando, who's this loser?
いやー、着任早々ついてないっすね。こんなんガス爆発でごまかすとか無理ですわ。どっかのテロ組織に声明でも出してもらえます？
そっちはいらねえ。対外的な処理はここの持ち主に押し付ける。叩けば埃が出そうだからな。俺たちの仕事はここにあるとまずいものの回収だ。使途の痕跡はあらかた拭ったが、被害者の処理にまだ不満がある。お前やっとけ。
了解。って待って待って。坊ちゃんがいつも連れてる大部隊、まだ入国してませんよね。もしかして俺だけで遺体を全部チェックして噛まれたかもしれないなりかけを見つけ出せと？
見つけ出すだけじゃねえぞ。生きているなら教会に送れ。死んでいるならもう一度殺してやれ。
そういうドブさらいが嫌になったから坊ちゃんに雇ってもらったんですけどね。
急げ。遺体の安置所には人払いをさせておく。貴様なら夜明けまでに済むはずだ。
ま、動かない標的に引き金を引くだけのお仕事ですし、精神的な負担を無視すればの話ですけどね。
車を回せ、カリウス。お役所回りを始めるぞ。
はい、すぐに。その他手配は必要ですか。この規模の汚染であれば応援の要請もすぐに。
その必要はねえ。つうか絶対知らせるな。この件はここだけで片付ける。しばらくは情報収集だ。これでも正義の味方だからな。いたずらに犠牲は増やせない。誰が敵で誰が邪魔者かきっちり当たりをつけなくちゃな。